guys, welcome back to CJ's Kitchen. Today I'm going to make a recipe that I found on Pinterest. These are chorizo tacos with black bean and corn salsa and cilantro-lime crema. I made this recipe for the first time last weekend and it was so good. We enjoyed it so much, both my husband and I. The chorizo gives the tacos just enough of a heat and a kick to really bring that kind of Southwest flavor that you're looking for, while the lime and the crema add a little bit of a cooling action so that it makes the heat tolerable for me, and my husband thought it was really great. The black bean and corn salsa is also really great, and I loved the kick of the lime in there to kind of add that acidity. So it's a really nice balance of flavors. So a couple changes I did make, very, very minor. This recipe was spot on in terms of serving sizes. There's just 2 of us. It's supposed to make 4 servings, and it did. We had it on a couple different nights. That was having 2 tacos per person. I did do small corn tortillas for this. So that was a plus for this recipe. All the prep and everything was super easy, very easy recipe to follow, and all the measurements seemed very accurate. The only changes I made were, like I said, very minimal. So the first one was for the corn. Corn's not in season here yet, and it's certainly showing up in the stores with Memorial Day having been here, but I just wasn't happy with what I found for corn availability at the store. I just wasn't happy with the corn. So I decided to go with frozen corn, and because it's frozen, you could certainly throw it in and it would thaw and it would be fine. But I decided to roast it just a little bit in my cast iron skillet, and I was very, very happy with the results. So that's the first thing. The second thing is I did incorporate the lime zest into everything. I don't see any reason to waste that zest, and it adds such a nice kick of flavor. So I did include that in the salsa, and I included it in the crema as well. And again, I was very happy with the results. So today I'm going to make one additional change. I'm going to actually make 2 versions of the salsa. I am headed to my friend's house, the folks I game with. Today we're changing it up and we're having an anime day, but we're still kind of splitting up meals. So our dungeon master is not able to eat corn. He has kind of an extensive list of things that he cannot eat, and corn is one of them. So I'm going to make a second version of the salsa with some bell pepper in it instead, and I got this really gorgeous orange bell pepper, so it'll add some color just like the corn does, and the flavor will be great. I guess I could have used yellow bell pepper and that would have been a match, but I just decided to go for what I thought looked great at the store, and the orange bell peppers were just beautiful. So that's what we have. Let's get started. I'll show you how this all comes together. Oh, one more thing. The best part about this recipe is it only takes about 30 minutes from start to finish. I do recommend that you follow the steps in order. You could certainly start the chorizo before the other things, but it does take a little while to chop the onions and the cilantro and get the crema together, and you don't want your chorizo to overcook. So the great thing about just following the recipe in order is everything else was done. The salsa had a little time for the flavors to meld together, and you could even make the salsa earlier in the morning or even the night before, and it would just be all the better for it. But that way too, your chorizo is nice and hot and ready to go is the last thing, and of course heating up your tortillas, which I like to do right over the gas burner on my stove. So let's get started. Okay, so first up is just to get the corn going in the cast iron skillet. The recipe calls for 3/4 cup. I'm just going to eyeball it today because I am making a little bit less with the corn in it. What I did was I divided my black beans. Into about 2/3 to 1/3. It made more than enough salsa, so I probably could have done a straight up half and half, but I really would be surprised if my friend eats that much of it. So I went with a really small portion for that. I'm just using a dry skillet, and I'm just going to roast the corn until it just gets a little bit browned on the outside. So I already have my beans drained and rinsed, and divide it up as I said. So I'm just gonna start chopping onion and zesting lime and chopping up cilantro while the corn cooks. So I'm gonna start with chopping up the red onion, and we're just doing about a quarter of the onion and chopping it into pretty small pieces. I like to cut the top and the bottom off, peel the onion, slice it in half, and then I cut it into semicircles. Actually, it's more accurate. Then I lay those down on their side and slice them. And that works really, really well. It's really fast, it's really simple, it's easy to get small pieces, and I just have been doing it that way a long time now. So I just need to check my corn here. And the corn is already done. So I'm gonna pull the corn off and just let it cool for a minute, and then I'll transfer it to the bowl of beans. And I'm just dropping the onion right into the bowl as I go. And actually, I'm only gonna slice up one more ring of this onion. This was, like I said, about a quarter of it. I'd used about a quarter the other day when I made this the first time, but this already looks like enough onion to me, and so I'm gonna stop. So don't be afraid to make changes like that as you go on the fly. So the next thing is the bell pepper. So anyway, I like to break the bell pepper in half. I finished pulling the core out. Our chickens will eat all of that, so that goes right in the chicken bowl. And then for this, I'm only gonna use about a quarter of the lobe. So I've got that here. I've already cut it into strips, which is easiest if you lay it exterior down and cut from the inside out. It'll be a lot more stable. And then you just chop it up, and we've got it. So we're gonna put that into the bowl. So the corn, as I said, is ready. I'm going to just grab a wooden spoon and put the corn right into the dish with the beans with 2/3 of the beans and the onion. Okay, so the next thing is I'm gonna zest this lime. Now I'm using my trusty microplane. You guys know I love my microplane. And I'm just zesting right into the dish. Zest is where all the essential oils are in citrus fruits. So the zest is a great way to get additional flavor. It doesn't add any unpleasant texture or anything, so there's no reason not to use it. Whenever I have a recipe that uses fresh citrus juice, I really like to make use of the zest in the recipe too. So now I'm just going to slice open this lime. I'm going to juice this lime right into the bowl. I'm going to go ahead and do the cilantro. So we don't need the big bits of stem. The little bits of stem are fine, but the really big pieces, the really big bits of stem, the main stem, is a bit much. So I do like to pull that aside, and again, my chickens are perfectly happy to eat it, so it doesn't go to waste. I guess if you were using a blender, you could just blend it all up, which I think I'm going to do with the crema. So I did want to put the crema in a squeeze bottle. I did that last time, and it's another reason to leave out the zest from the crema, so I'm gonna go ahead and not put it in this time. Leaving the zest out is a good idea because it does clog the tip of the squeeze bottle, and I had the same problem with the cilantro. Even though I chopped it up very, very fine, bits of cilantro were clogging up the tip as well. So I've got a good, I've got probably more than a quarter cup here. And that's okay because, again, we're going to use some of this in the crema. So I'm going to chop it all now and add what I need to each of these dishes. So I'm gonna chop this. This doesn't have to be super fine because it's going in the salsa, and so a few recognizable chunks isn't a bad thing. We do have one person in the gaming group who's not a big fan of cilantro, but I found as long as we don't put too much in, she's okay with it. So I'm gonna stop right there and I'm gonna take out what I need for the salsa. So I'm putting a couple tablespoons in the mixture with the corn, and a good, I guess that was about a tablespoon for the other bowl, and I'm gonna save the rest here for the crema. So I'm sure I'm gonna be sorry that I'm doing this way, but I'm gonna add the honey right to the bowl because I did forget about doing it in a separate container, which I don't believe was in the instructions. I think I just kind of figured that on my own. It's about a teaspoon in one, and I did about a half teaspoon in the other. And I just need some salt and pepper. So a little salt. I'm gonna go ahead and use some fresh cracked pepper. And the salt and pepper is just a taste. So if you don't like to do a lot of salt, you can cut that back. I do think you need some. Keeping in mind, of course, that the beans tend to have a lot of sodium in them. So if you're watching your sodium, you do need to be aware of that. And you know, if you have a substitute that you like to use, you could do that too. I'm just going to stir this around. And that actually seems to be mixing in just fine with the honey going in that way. Thank goodness. And so I'm going to switch this out so you can see how this other one looks. Just going to mix this up too. Ah, yeah, that's coming together just fine. So moving on to the crema. The crema is simply a quarter cup of sour cream, a quarter cup of fresh cilantro finely chopped, 2 tablespoons fresh lime juice, salt and pepper, and you can use a little water for thinning if you need to. I didn't find I needed to last time. The other thing is, you notice I only have about a tablespoon of chopped fresh cilantro left in it. That's okay, I'm gonna leave it that way because again, I do have the one member of the group who's not a big fan of cilantro, so I don't want to make it overwhelming for her. So I did buy this Mexican style sour cream from my grocery store. I don't know that I noticed any big difference in flavor or texture. So I'm not sure that you need to go to that length. And we already used most of this container, so there's just about the right amount left, and I'm just gonna dump it all in. So one thing about recipes like this is don't be afraid to eyeball things and trust your own instincts. And the reason I say that is you cannot really predict how much juice you're gonna get from a lime or a lemon. You don't know really how well it's gonna zest, or you know, there are factors like that, or you have something like I've got where you have a situation where you need to back something off because you know that someone is not going to be wild about it. So I'm gonna put that chopped cilantro in there, and I'm just doing this all right into the blender carafe so that I can blend it up and hopefully get all those bits of cilantro really, really finely ground down so that it won't impede the squeeze bottle. And also, hopefully it won't be, I think my friend is more bothered by it when it's big chunks and stuff too. And so, you know, having small pieces and bits so that she doesn't get hit with the really strong flavor of it is great. So I'm just gonna go ahead and put the whole lime in there because well, this one's juicing a little bit better, but it still looks like it's about the amount that I need, so we're good there. And then of course the salt and pepper, and again I am going to use fresh ground just because I like the flavor so much better. I guess that's a little risky considering I want this to go through a squeeze bottle. And some salt, and I'll give this a taste afterwards. That was just a couple healthy pinches. So I'm gonna go and blend this and I will be right back. All right, so here is the crema. It's all done, and I have to say I might have overdone the lime just a little bit because it's pretty liquid, as you can see. So I am going to give it a taste before I pour any more of that in there. The flavor's really nice though. It's very limey, lots of acidity, but then you have the salt and the pepper and the creaminess of the sour cream. So it's going to work great. So I'm gonna pour the rest of it in here. And it's going to set up a little bit in the fridge. We're not having it until dinner tonight. So it'll set up a little bit and I think it'll just be great. And I'll just kind of warn everybody that's a little thin. So that's what you get for being off the cuff once in a while, but I think it's gonna be fine. Anyway, so that's it. I'm gonna pack everything up and take it to my friend's place. I do need to still brown the chorizo. I'll do that at their house. Hopefully I can get some clips of that. But if not, you've seen me brown meat plenty of times. So you're just gonna cook it until it's browned and you're good to go. At that point, you're going to want to heat up your tortillas as well, which I like to do right on my gas stove. They don't have a gas stove, so I usually do it right over the burner. At their house, I'll probably have to use cast iron, or because there's, let's see, there's 5 of us, we might just even resort to microwaving it. So it might be a little less toasted than it usually gets doing it on the stove, but they'll be warm and they'll be delicious. Okay, so for the chorizo tacos, I changed my mind about showing you the browning process for that. When I took them to my friend's house, we browned the chorizo there, and my friend Janet noticed that she felt like it was a little difficult to tell when it's done. So I thought that it would make sense to go ahead and make a video after all. Go ahead and shoot some clips of how that process works. So because of the seasoning that's in chorizo, it's kind of a red meat anyway, and even as you cook it, it still kind of looks pink or red because, again, because of those seasonings in there. So I'm just gonna show you that piece really quick. I have my cast iron skillet heating up. I'm gonna throw the chorizo in and I'll show you what it looks like when it's all done. All right, so this chorizo is all browned up, and you can see, actually it's even a little over browned, you can see that it browns up just like anything else. So there you go, that's what it looks like when it's all browned and cooked. All right, and so we're going to assemble our tacos and give them a try. So I like to put down the crema and then some of the chorizo, and then put a little lettuce in there, and this salsa, more crema, some of this queso fresco, and a few cilantro leaves, and there's the chorizo taco. This is really good. Thank you. I'm not sure if I've had chorizo before, but like, tastes like a taco.
Yeah, and I'm a personal fan of like having beans in my tacos, so this is really good, having the beans with corn in there. And yeah, I'm gonna have like a salad on my plate after I'm done with this. It's really good. I like the flavors.
Can you just get, all right, I'm gonna dig in. I think these are going to be a real summer favorite for us. We've already had them quite a bit. We haven't gotten tired of them yet. You have that heat from the chorizo, but then you have the cheese and the beans and the lime and everything just really help cool it down. And then the texture is really great too. So anyway, this is a winner. I hope you'll try it. Thanks as always for tuning in. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to give it the thumbs up and subscribe so you can catch all of my videos. And thank you so much again, and until I see you next time, ciao!